Fantasy football players you should avoid drafting in 2023, starting off here with Bijan Robinson. And by the way, welcome. This is Mediocre Fantasy, and the title of the channel is pretty straightforward. I am a very average fantasy football player, so you're not going to see all the fancy stats, but I'm going to give you straight vibes. So please correct me in the comment section down below.
Help me! Help me!
You mean it. Help me. Huh? Because I could be overthinking this. The major reason why I am avoiding Bijan in this draft is because of Tyler Algier. Last year, he was actually pretty solid for the Atlanta Falcons with a 5th-round price tag. And keep in mind, Arthur Smith is the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Did you not see him nuke Kyle Pitts' amazing ability? He could very well do the same thing for this transcendent prospect that everybody is telling you is the next great thing. The same thing that they did with old Petey from Florida. So the simple truth here is I am just not feeling it at all. And if you know me from just anything else I've done on YouTube, I am a jersey number schnob who for the Atlanta Falcons thought it was a great idea to hand out Michael Vick's number 7 uniform. That number should be in the freaking rafters. So not a smart decision right there, and this is just doomed. So here's some projections here from FantasyLife.com, and as you can see, Bijan Robinson, the same amount of points as Saquon and Nick Chubb, and you can get those guys a little bit later, and you kind of know what you're getting as well. So I like Bijan. I'm just out on him at that ADP. So same thing here. Mark Andrews, a fine player, but at that ADP, when they add Odell and Zay Flowers to this room, it's very expensive for the number 2 tight end. Now, one thing I do like is Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, does come in and he runs a lot of 12 personnel from his days at Georgia, which means 2 tight ends will be on the field. The Ravens have a really good backup tight end in Isaiah Likely, so that obviously spells really good things for Mark Andrews' fantasy usage. I just think with the target competition that was added there and last season some health issues for Mark, I'm just out at that ADP. Now, I want to get to some players that I'm always told are very good fantasy football players, but guess what? They don't actually produce. And the first here is Jeudy, okay? I actually don't think Jeudy's bad. And a few years ago, he was actually my number 1 wide receiver in the class with my dear beloved Justin Jefferson. And obviously, Jeudy has had up and down quarterback play, and that continued last year with a washed up Russell Wilson. In comes Sean Payton. He always kind of just likes his guys, and I just feel Jerry Jeudy, with all the murmurs in the offseason and the very good possibility that Russell Wilson is cooked, I think Jeudy is just doomed at this ADP. I actually rather Cortland Sutton way later in the draft than Jeudy, and as you can see, there's some other names right here I would prefer. We then get to DeAndre Hopkins here with an ADP of 45.6. I actually like this pick more than the Jerry Jeudy pick, but this just feels off, doesn't it, right? I know they're going to go into the season with Ryan Tannehill. I don't love that offensive line situation, and I think the Treylon Burks experiment is actually going to be a big deal. And as you can see, instead of DeAndre Hopkins, I would much rather Deontay Johnson, right? So we get to our next player, and that is Jahan Dotson. This is one of these guys that everyone says is a really good football player, but I just don't see it. I think he is a relatively average athlete. I don't think he is that guy that gives you that explosive fantasy upside that all the experts like to tell you about. And once again, this is the Washington offense, right? In fantasy football, once again, I am just average at it, but I tend to like players that play on good offenses. So for me, Jahan Dotson, no way, Jose. Once again, you see, I could get Treylon Burks just a little bit later. And I love all these other names on this list right here as well as guys that are far better projections. And I would even take Quentin Johnson over Jahan Johnson. Alrighty, we get to Alvin Kamara. This is by far my favorite running back in the NFL as a Saints fan, and I even drafted him in the hundreds all offseason on Underdog Fantasy. And now he's at 88.6, right? I think this is the classic case of a news cycle thing. Everyone's saying, well, he only got 3 games. Let me go on ahead and draft him. Don't like it, right? With all the extra running backs entering the room, there was some sign of regression. I like AK as a player. I just don't like him at that spot. Boom, I'm looking at you. And I want to do a segment on the videos that I do for this channel called Did I Do the Right Thing, okay? And, of course, this is Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Carter, baby. Sign up now. Get that deposit match bonus. And I need your help. I'm doing one of the Chihuahuas. If I pick the absolute best team, I could win $20,000 off a $4 buy-in. So I have Josh Allen, Travis Etienne, Jamar T. Higgins, and Brandon Ayuk. I kind of want to take David Montgomery in this spot. I really do like D. Monty, but I think I should select Gabe Davis. I think that's what I am going to do here. And bang. So yeah, go on ahead, sign up. Please win my money because as you can see, I second guess myself all the time. But I will be bold on my Tua take here. Avoid him unless you are stacking Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Don't take a man who could be one concussion away from the career being over. And I truly believe he is the worst runner in the NFL now that Tom Brady is out. And obviously, the Konami code rushing is a big part of fantasy quarterbacking. I am just out on Tua. And you can get Geno the next round, and I think Geno's going to have a massive season. I'm also out on Alan Lazard. He wasn't great in Green Bay, and I feel the Jets, kind of like last year, are going to play a bunch of these ugly-ish kind of games. So, no shootouts, and an offense that's mainly going to be Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. I don't think the Jets are going to play at the absolute fastest pace. Please let me know if pace actually does matter. I just like these other receivers in this range, including Nico and Jacoby Myers. And I'm going to talk about Adam Thielen here at the end. I've always liked Thielen and his story, but I understand he's dirt cheap. But 148.3, there is a ton of Carolina Panthers wide receivers in this range I like better than him. And that's pretty much the other 3 wide receivers. Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark, and my big sleeper, Terrace Marshall, going into next season. They also brought in Hayden Hurst. I do think Bryce Young is the next great thing, especially in the NFC. But I just don't like Adam Thielen in this spot at all when there's other receivers. And it's crazy that Fantasy Life right now has Thielen projected for more points than Elijah Moore. So I have some bad news at the end of this video. I actually went and just checked this. Monty went. Oh, man. Maybe I could have grabbed Monty and then Gabe Davis. I don't know. Feel free to help me out. I looked at his team, and he had already drafted 3 RBs. Or 2 RBs at this point. I thought he was for sure going to draft another receiver in that spot. But here we are. I kind of need an RB here. I got 4 really good receivers here. Obviously, Jamar and T. Higgins. I'm going to try, and let me know what you guys think about Dalton Kincaid. I'm going to try and get him as my tight end a little bit later. So, not really in love with any of these receivers. Obviously, Jahan Dotson, we talked about him in the video today. I think in this spot, I still have 10 hours, so I'm going to post this video. Maybe one of you guys can correct me on this. I think I'm actually going to go with James Conner, so let me know. Now, this is the first kind of video I've done. I've only done drafts up to this point. If you want to see a fun live draft, there you go, right there. It is Mediocre Fantasy, baby. Let's go.